Right, let's see what Jeff's up to today. Let's have a look. Where is he? There he is, doing something in his workshop. Right. Oh, you've moved things around, I see.
Hey?
You've moved your radio.
I moved that ages ago.
Did you? Oh well. To click it off.
I wanted to get those shelves there and it was in the way.
All right. So I came here last week and I did a bit of filming. I lost it all because it was on my phone and I pressed the wrong button. It all went.
Oh, bloody! You're supposed to be the expert.
I am, but I wasn't wearing my glasses at the time.
I could understand it if it was me.
Oh no. But what Jeff was doing was drilling out or machining out the cases that he's now working on. He's got several sets of cases, all the same engine. CB something, CB72, CB.
Well, actually, these are C. Well, actually,
Honda, whatever, 60s twin.
There are slight differences. There's certain odd casting little differences, but very rare.
Right.
Maybe on a
right. So I do have a little bit of film of you drilling them out, so I'll show you that now. Yeah, this is my phone camera with this. I didn't expect to be filming today, but while we're here, hopefully that will stop working in a minute.
Having a cup of tea?
Have a cup of tea, of course, yeah. So let's have a look what else we've got. I'll get away from this compressor, which is really noisy. Oh, there you go, it's stopped now. So there's another set of cases for the old CB72, whatever.
That's done.
Oh, you've already done them?
Well, it's but hang on. No, sorry.
No, that's the same.
Whether one's a bloody
done. So you've got some more?
They're in the shed.
Oh, okay.
I've moved them because I'm stuck for room.
Yeah.
They're the next ones to do on
they're the next ones. You got a production line.
On the other three sets are opened out to the 500 crank.
Okay. And what about... Right, now here we are back again.
Boring them out.
Boring them out, yeah. And the reason you were boring them out was because you want to fit a bigger crank.
I'm putting the 451 in.
Yeah, so and that involves moving the centre point of the crank a little bit for some reason.
No.
Well, there's a good reason, I'm sure.
It was... You didn't have to do that to put the 450 crank in. But to get the maximum on the stud spacing, well, when I say maximum, what happens is, you can probably see on them.
Yeah, there's your stud spacing there.
Yeah. You can.
There.
Yeah, you can see originally they shunt it that way.
Right.
So they're offset, which is damned.
Yeah, there's more room here than there is there.
Yeah. So
by
you can move
the crank. You
can move this forward. If you can go 2 mil that way, you can increase the bore by 4 mil.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Which, because these are getting close here anyway, so mind you though, you don't really want to be taking it out.
Yes.
The maximum you can really go to without really, because we're going up to 10 mil on these.
Were these 250 originally, or were they 3 something?
Well, they're 30. Well, originally 250.
Okay.
Well, CA77, they're actually American. They're from America, them, the CA.
Okay. And what's all this here I've seen? All these...
they were just... that was from something I was doing. We'll go into that again.
Okay, another day.
It was a mad idea.
As you often have, mad ideas.
Well, sometimes
they work.
No, they'd work. It's just lack of funds to get them to work.
That's always the case.
Yeah, so if we shunt the crank that way,
yes,
we put the centre line
more central to the well, not more central to the bores, but more central to the.
We've actually moved it 3 millimeters that way, which gives you, which means you can easily get a 68 mil bore, 67 mil bore, very comfortably. The only thing is, what happens then is your actual combustion chambers are offset.
Okay,
they'll work. But with a supercharger.
So for those of us who don't modify engines like you do, what you were doing was you were drilling out this hole where the crank normally lives.
Well, 3 have been bored, them 3.
Okay.
And then what I'm going to do is clamp them together on the big lathe with a mandrel. I'm going to machine a mandrel in situ, slide the 3 bearings that go in here on it at the right spacings, then clamp them to it, and then finish that one off.
Right. So the idea is...
There's some welding to do anyway.
The bearings are the same, but it's just that they're now held within... I thought you were going to make some sort of...
No, there's the 451 now. That's ready to go in there.
All right, so you're changing the bearings as well? Yeah. Oh, sorry, I didn't realise that.
Well, all the bearings, the bigger.
Right.
They're 72 mil.
Right. And by doing that, do you also offset the...
Well, you can actually see just by doing it, it's still just got the original... It's still just got... Yeah, because they're 72, the originals are 66, so you can't go.
No, it's quite a big change.
To keep the maximum you could go with them is 3mm.
Right.
So basically, we've shunted it 3mm forward, which gives us it doesn't sound a lot.
It sounds well. It's quite a lot.
It gives you a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
Because now we're doing that. It gives you
Right.
that extra bit of room.
So,
Well,
if you look around now, you've got a set of cases here on this side, and behind you, on the bench behind
I've
you
done
there,
3.
Yeah, you've got some
Yeah.
more
Yeah.
over here. So you've been quite busy.
Well,
And
there's no point in just doing one.
No,
if you're
no,
going to
no.
do it, you're going to want some spares. So
yeah. And then a long time ago, when you had your Honda drag bike in this position here, which I'll bring up a photograph now, you had the engine in place with supercharger. It looked really cool because you made your own end plates, your own end covers for the supercharger. So
well,
all of that is down the shed, but these engines, these cases are for that particular reason, isn't it? Those engines.
They've been bought out to suit a 500.
Right.
And I was going to put a 500 crank in it, but it would have been all right, but I'd prefer the 450.
Right.
It keeps it with the bore I've got. It keeps it.
Okay, but the whole principle, the bike's the same, the supercharger's the same,
Well,
the drive's the same.
400cc round figure.
Right.
Whereas I've put the 500 crank in, it goes to about 430, 440, something like that.
But it'll look the same. It's just that obviously the cases are different.
Yeah.
So your head's the same, your barrels are the same as they were on that bike anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, everything. You won't know. No one will know anything.
Any different?
Yeah. But
so have you got all the internals for all these cases, or have you just got cases?
I've got 2 3-speed boxes, but I've got to get one more gear to complete another.
And by a 3-speed box, you mean a Honda CB 750
gearbox,
which wasn't 3. That was what 4-speed originally or 5-speed?
A 5.
And now it's only got 3 because you modified it.
Well, it's got the 750 Honda gearbox shaft coming out.
Right.
Which means you can run the 750 Honda clutch.
Right, which is much stronger, of course,
Which is now on a bike that is probably about the same power output, if not maybe a fraction more.
Than the original
clutch,
750.
even a standard clutch, is more than good enough to handle.
Yes, yeah.
The bits are more than good enough to handle it.
So what power would a CB77 make back in the day then, if it was a 305 or a 250? What, about 20 brake, was it? Or 25?
You could probably tune them up, maybe get...
No, it's standard.
Standard, I wouldn't mind.
20 odd.
I don't think it was a lot.
Whereas a CB750 would be, what, about 65?
I think you'd be luckier if it was about 20.
Yeah. So, and how much power will this thing make? About 60 odd or 70? It's only 3 times more than the original engine was.
Probably, without supercharged, I reckon you could probably push it if you were lethal enough, probably over 100.
Yeah. Okay. But would you run it on mesh or?
You could probably get it out to that at 400cc, but there's no point because you are talking.
It wouldn't last long.
You're going to be, this is being built to be quick but
usable, not break all the time. So will it run on alcohol or nitro? Or
I'd like to get a bit of nitromethane.
Oh, that sounds dangerous.
Only about 75%.
Okay,
only
75%. Yeah, that'll give it a bit of.
Oh, you start going to like 90, and you
boomtastic. Okay, so that's good. And I see there's something here that looks a bit more expensive. Oh, what have we got here? We've got here. Let's just reveal what have we got here. I know it's not yours.
Right.
This is Drew's.
What I've done.
This is a very expensive box full of expensive Olin shocks.
I've got to be careful here because there's 3 sets and they're all like.
Oh, they're all. Yeah. So here we have something we don't often see in your workshop. Something that costs a lot of money. These are Olin's.
I believe they're about $1,000 and a half.
Yeah. They're expensive.
They're very expensive.
So this is for Drew's turbo bike. He's decided he doesn't want to use the ZRX shocks that were on it originally, so he's gone mad, and he's bought himself. And unfortunately, they don't fit the chassis.
I've got all the gear now. I took Les' bin this morning.
Yes, I know. Yes, yeah.
I took the bearings out with my little
tool you made.
Special tool. And what we've got to
because the eyelets were the wrong size, so they didn't fit. So you have to very carefully. Ooh, look at them.
So that's why they're kept in the box. They've been drawn out. Yes. Now Les wants me.
So that's what they were.
Yeah. But Les wants me to make a bronze bush to go in there that fits on that, a nice fit. But that's not. That's just slightly wider than that.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you tighten them up, it's just
because this is
got
a
that
part
yeah.
from a Kawasaki ZRX. It's called something like a hook or something, and we use these to widen, extend out the top mount for the shocks.
Yeah. The only thing is,
I've got them on my
if
bike.
I make a bronze bush to do that, it's going to tighten the bronze bush up, and it's going to be pivoting on that, which I.
So what can you do? So what can you do instead then? What can you do instead? What's your other option? I'm sure you'll come up with an answer. So you just made that as a temporary thing, just to press out these bearings without damaging the shocks, which would be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're quite clever, aren't they? These.
Yeah, but you can't use them without.
No.
So
no.
Well, this.
I'm sure where there's a will, there's a way. But yeah, they're nice, aren't they?
I mean, ideally,
very nice.
There's plenty of room there. It would be better to make a sleeve.
To go on that.
Press the bronze, have the bronze bush permanently fitted in there, so that then when the sleeve tightens to that, the sleeve is rotating, moving in the bronze bush.
Yeah.
That would be.
Well, I'm sure you'll work out a way.
But I don't really want the bronze bush pivoting in that.
Oh God, no. We're just going to wear it out.
So we've either got to make something up, like something to go in there, and then have the bronze bush on. No.
I'm sure you'll work it out. This is where we have
We'll
Jeff.
we'll
You can
sort
work it out.
Yeah.
What else we got here?
They're not very thick, you see.
No.
So what you got to allow is when you tighten them up, if it's too thin, the tube, it can crush.
It can crush it up.
Jam.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it won't be too tight.
So, yeah, but if you leave it loose, it's.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah. There's a way.
You know.
I'm sure you'll work it out.
A nice shocky on there for handling.
Yes, you don't need it loose.
And leaving it loose.
No, they are nice. Nice.
Yeah. Nice.
I went for Maxtons on mine, but whatever. Because they can make you anything you like that fits anything. Right,
I think the bill is there for them.
Oh God! Well, don't look at the bill; it's going to be horrendous.
I don't know why he brought me the bill, because unless he's just making me
making you nervous.
Making me nervous.
Watch! Don't mess it up, lad. Don't mess it up. Yeah. So here we got some yokes here. I'm not sure what these yokes are. Oh, these are yokes.
Marked, yeah.
Oh, marks.
I've got to set them up.
Are these for his racing bike? Are they? Oh,
this is the Z650.
Another Z650. Because Mark's the guy who races them, isn't he?
Yeah.
Mark's races 750s and 650s.
He's got the unless it's for a road one. This might be for a road.
Yeah, I think this looks like more like a street fighter.
For classic racing, you wouldn't be able to use them.
I mean, look how thick they are.
Massive.
Massive.
Well, he wanted them both 3-inch.
Yeah.
Well, I actually had this one made.
Yeah.
But I bored that out now to suit his forks. And
what forks is he having? Upside down?
He's got one of the fork legs is there, that silver one.
Oh yeah, upside down.
They are Kawasaki, but I'm not sure what model.
Oh, I don't know. Probably ZX.
They could be 600, something off of 600.
Okay, cool.
I'm not sure. Or 750.
Right, so that's going to be. So what else you been doing, apart from making yokes? Oh, here's some more yokes here. Look, more yokes.
Yeah, for the comp bike.
Okay.
I've not really been doing that
much, have you?
Well,
I may because they pay you some money because you did some work for me last week. I had no cash on me, so I've come to give you all your money.
Well, it's on me.
And then we can.
Amiga little.
Amiga? It'll keep you going for a few days. It'll keep you in tea bags for a while. Anyway, so that's what I'm here for. And, and what else this is still here.
What?
This strange fork brace, which is for a Harley.
I've got to...
You've got to go and see him. He's on holiday. Yeah.
Funnily enough, we made it, but what's happening is, when it goes on, them will hit the shrouds. I forgot. And if you try to mill anything out, you're losing the strength.
Right.
So what we're going to do is shorten them, make some 5mm spacers to go between them.
Oh, I see, yeah.
And move them in.
A bit, yeah,
so you'll see a little spacer between them.
Oh, it doesn't matter.
And then has got the clearance.
Yeah, and he's...
but he's rung me now and said, I don't like that.
It's a bit late now, mate.
And I'm going, there isn't any other way.
I'm doing it, yeah.
The only other way is to make them twice as thick.
Yes.
And they were the part that was...
difficult to make.
Took the time.
Yeah, because it's curved, isn't it?
Make them in 20mm and then scoop them out. It's like...
Yeah, people don't sometimes understand how much time it takes to make something. You would think making that...
It's not that. I had to set a plate up and bolt it all to it to get the curve on.
Yeah, I mean, that is much easier to make than that little curve. You know,
I mean, someone somewhere with a CNC say, I could just pop that in my machine and program it.
Yeah, but they need to program it, yeah.
Yeah.
But for a one-off, you don't do that. So.
And he'd say, that's 2 hours, it's took me.
But it might take him 10 hours to program it, you know.
But to get a program to do that, like you say, I don't know.
No, because you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and several
parts. My standard answer is, as soon as someone says, I got someone with a CNC who can make it, I just say, there you go.
Go and do it then. Yeah, go and do it. Yeah, Jeff makes one-off stuff, not sort of multiple units of things. Anyway, so there you go. That's for a Harley of some kind. What else is happening round here? Let's have a look.
This here so I don't forget.
All right. Well, in that case, we'll stop here, and I'll go and put the kettle on.
Oh, I'll
and I'll give you some money, and then all's well that ends well.
I'm just taking the sharp bit. Do you know? I've just do that one, and then I know where I'm up to then.
Yeah.
I've just extended the drill because I couldn't get it on the drill chuck to drill them out to 8.
Oh, you're extending all of the bolts.
Because the chuck on it wouldn't go all the way. So what I'm going to do? Ooh,
all right. So these were all. These were all 6.6mm.
They were 8s originally, and the 4 that hold the gearbox area were 6. So
then now 8.
8s in it.
And that means tapping out this side as well. It's at 8mm.
I've got to set a little jig up.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. An unbelievable.
Is it needed really? Do you really need to do that? I mean, will the cases fall apart if you don't do that?
Well, these are the ones that will be being used on the race bike.
Right.
So
okay.
The thing is, what you don't want is to do all that work and have the cases
fall apart.
So
that's a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah, but
well, anyway, that's what Jeff does all day long.
Well, I had the top end, all. There we go. I think that's got it.
Yeah.
Right.
Excellent.
What I've done is, so I thought I'll put that on. I'll machine that down. I can just use the hand drill because they've gone in so far. I can finish off.
Right.
With the hand drill.
Yes.
Just clamp them.
Yeah.
But I thought I'll put that in there and look. I haven't got a long series drill.
Oh, well. You'll find a way. You always do.
So I thought I'll lock tight. It's probably going to be tomorrow now before I can use it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Not to worry.
I've just took all the sharp burrs off there.
Yeah.
I couldn't get the deburring to it because it's sunk in.
So these old little cases are taking a hell of a lot of time. A lot of work to do that, but keeps Jeff busy, keeps him out of mischief.
Well, it's not that. I mean, at the end of the day, there's been that much work done on the bike.
Yes.
I thought,
yeah, I mean, the frame's
engine
amazing.
Together, paint the frame. I may end up having to sell it.
Well, hopefully
I don't know.
Hopefully
I'll
not.
just have to see what goes on.
Okay.
The trouble is, as it all stands, it's not worth it.
No, well, no. It's a sort of a passion thing, isn't it? You got to find somebody else who wants it.
You've got to find somebody who.
And there are very few people who want
it. Yeah.
I know there's a guy that you follow or you know about who's got a similar bike that we saw at Dragstalgia a few years ago. His bike was in the show.
Oh, Justin.
Justin, yeah.
Yeah. Well, he bought that off Mick Hand.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Who
back in the day.
Yeah.
Back in the olden days.
Who I spent many hours with at one meeting, and because he said, "You've done that wrong. You've done that."
Oh, right.
I didn't know him at the time.
No, well, you were starting out then.
And I said to him, "Who this bloody bloke? Do you not know who that is?"
He's like an expert.
He's the only person then that can really.
Yeah, that's when you were about 20, wasn't it? That was a long time ago.
Only about 24.
Yeah, back in the early 80s when you were first building
just
it.
Just around when you think you know it all.
Oh, and you know nothing. Yeah. And the more you know, the more you realise I don't know anything.
I wish now what I know now I knew back then. Wouldn't we all be like?
Well, wouldn't we all? Yeah. Right. Okay. And on that note, we'll call it quits, and it's time for tea.